Okay, time to meet our wonderful good human of the week. Debbie O'Connor is the driving force behind a great project helping people in need. Dozens of volunteers knitted 6,678 20 by 20 centimetre squares that became 224 blankets and were distributed across Sydney's western suburbs. Please welcome Debbie O'Connor from her base. Debbie, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Tell us about the story behind the Think Outside the Square knitting challenge.
Right, so about 3 years ago, it was probably around about May, we had a bit of a cold snap, and I remember getting into bed and commenting to my husband how lucky we were to have a roof over our heads and to have a warm bed to get into, and that there would be so many people this winter that would not have that particular privilege. So I sort of mulled it overnight, as I do, and I got into the work the next day and said to the team, look, I've got this idea. What if we asked our community to knit 20 by 20 centimetre squares that we can then sew together, and we can then turn them into blankets that we donate to the homeless or those people that are escaping domestic violence.
Now, who did the blankets go to, darling? Who gets them?
Yeah, so we actually support 4 local Western Sydney charities. One is West Care. They really donate a lot of the blankets to the homeless and domestic violence survivors. Mama Lana's community kitchens, they also do homeless people. We've got Penrith Community Kitchens, and we also have another one, which has just totally lost my mind. I'm sorry.
I tell you what, all those finished products look toasty.
They're
warm.
lovely blankets.
How many hours a week do you devote to this?
Look, myself personally, I actually stopped knitting because we got so many squares that came in that I actually had to start sewing them together. So I probably put in about 10 to 15 hours a week sewing squares together. My community manager, Rihanna, is incredible. She helps facilitate a lot of what goes on in our co-working space on a daily basis, collecting in the squares, collecting in the blankets, telling people, you know, the different sizes that we need, because each blanket, depending on the size of the blanket, might either need 35 squares or 48 squares to make a blanket. So we need quite a few squares to be able to put these blankets together.
It sounds like you need more people to sew them together rather than knitting.
Look, we actually have volunteers doing both, which is incredible. So we have some people who knit them or crochet them. We don't really mind. We've got other people that then don't know how to knit or crochet, so they will then sew things together. We actually have 2 lovely ladies called Ruth and Emma who have had workplace injuries, and so they can't actually work. And they've said to us that this is such a fantastic thing to make them feel like they still of value and are able to do something really good. So this has also been quite therapeutic for a number of people. But it's been amazing the amount of people who have got on board. We've got one lady who for the last 3 years, she lives in Darwin. And the very first year, she landed up sending through about 8 squares. And she put a little note there saying, I'm terribly sorry that I couldn't crochet more squares. And I was just absolutely dumbfounded. It came from Darwin. And this year, Katie actually did an entire blanket and sent a full blanket all the way from Darwin. So it's just incredible.
Awesome. Wonderful.
Debbie,
people.
you are a wonderful human, a good human, and thanks so much for joining us this morning on Studio 10.
Thank you for having me.
To find out more about this wonderful project, you can head to thecreativefringe.com.au and go to the events page. How great is that?